Hi everyone. This video will show you the actual experimental steps and data collected for the gravimetric analysis for an unknown sulfate lab. You may be asked questions related to the procedure or data shown in the video. When the video focuses on specific measurements of mass, please record those values in your gravimetric analysis lab report. The first thing we need to do is to measure out 0.3 to 0.4 grams of the unknown sulfate, which comes in a small vial. To do that, we first tare the balance to make sure it starts from zero. Then, we place a 250 milliliter beaker and record its mass. After that, we add some unknown sulfate salt using a scupula. This is the mass of the beaker with the unknown sulfate salt, which you should record on your lab report. To dissolve the unknown sulfate solid, we add 50 milliliters of water, measured using a 100 milliliter graduated cylinder, followed by 20 drops of 6 molar hydrochloric acid. We gently pour the water into the beaker and use a dropper to add the 6 molar HCl. We then mix the solution components together. The next thing we do is set up a ring stand and wire gauze with a Bunsen burner so we can heat the mixture until just before it boils. This will help to form larger crystals for the barium sulfate product. While the solution is being heated, we measure 25 milliliters of 0.1 molar barium chloride using a 100 milliliter graduated cylinder. Once we turn off the Bunsen burner, we slowly add the barium chloride into the hot solution. This was done by pouring the solution from the graduated cylinder through the stirring rod into the beaker. As you notice, a cloudy mixture forms in the beaker. The cloudiness is a sign that a precipitate or solid has formed in the solution. We let the precipitate settle to the bottom for 20 minutes. While that's going on, we heat the crucible to remove any contaminants that may add to the mass of the crucible. After 2 minutes of heating and letting the crucible cool down, we weigh the mass of the empty crucible. You should record this number in your lab report. Once the 20 minutes have passed, we now need to filter the mixture containing the precipitate to obtain just the solid. First, we must fold an ashless filter paper to form a cone that we can put into our funnel. To help the paper stick to the funnel, we moisten the paper with water. Next, we mix the precipitate and solution together and slowly pour it down the funnel lined with the filter paper. At the end of the filtration process, all the white precipitate is stuck on the wet filter paper. We take the wet filter paper and fold it into a small piece and place it in the crucible. Next, we're ready to recover the product. This is done by heating the crucible to high heat such that the filter paper decomposes. This heating is done inside the fume hood. At the start, we use lower heat on the Bunsen burner to dry the filter paper. As the heating continues, the filter paper begins to char, as you can see in the video. Eventually, the entire paper turns black. At this point, we turn up the Bunsen burner to higher heat and continue to heat the crucible until all the paper decomposes to carbon dioxide. At the end, you see only the white precipitate of the barium sulfate. We let the crucible cool down, weigh it, and then reheat it again at high heat. The purpose here is to make sure that all the paper is completely decomposed. We then weigh the crucible again. If the difference is less than 0.005 grams, then we can stop. The final mass of the crucible with the product is measured and shown here.